Thank you. Hi.
Hello, Dr. Horsley. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay. Making it through.
Oh,
Adjusting to life, not in the hybrid anymore.
you're back to school.
We are back non-hybrid.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'll feel a lot better when I get my second shot. I'll feel a lot better that way.
Yeah.
And then when you're ready to start.
Yeah, it's nice to have both shots.
Good job, Kathy.
Yeah, God.
Yeah. Ah. Hi, Kristen.
Hi, how are you today?
Doing okay?
That's good. Are you feeling better? I think last time I saw you, you weren't feeling so well.
I'm getting there. It's a little bit complicated, and I have a professional consult on Thursday morning. Think will alleviate both some of my physical ailment and some of my anxiety.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I wish you well. I hope it works out
Thank you very much. I have confidence that it will. Thank you.
great.
Are they adjusting your?
They'll be doing stuff like that. I'm doing some of that at home too. There's a thing to do at home, so I won't go into it. It's too hard to describe. Huh?
Are you busy?
Well, I've had vertigo.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not dizzy right now.
That's good.
I'm still tired. It's very fatiguing.
Yeah.
But I managed to get my second vaccination. The vertigo did not interfere with that.
Oh, good.
That's great.
Yeah.
My grandmother had that, the vertigo.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure out what was going on. And she had to eventually go to Florida. She lived in Alabama, to Florida to the Mayo Clinic, and they did that head switch thing. And it went away.
How long ago was that she had that?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, no, it's progressed a lot. I mean, I learned how to do a little head switch at home from a YouTube video that my doctor forwarded to me.
That's what my doctor did for me too, Kathleen.
Yeah.
The doctor sent you to YouTube?
Yep. The doctor
So-
said, she said, I cannot begin to explain to you how to do this. I'm sending you a video. Which I thought was kind of funny until I watched the YouTube video. I said, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, actually, I do tell my students whenever they ask a question about anything that is software related with a computer, like how do I do this? YouTube
Yeah,
can tell you how to do everything in the world.
yeah, it's true. Yep.
Hi, Betty.
Hi, Nick. Hi, everyone.
Betty.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Let's give it a few more minutes to get a few people here. I'll be right back.
Hi, Marjorie. How are you doing?
Yeah, Chief Sullivan, it looks like Ms. Bondi's is under assault. I don't know if you want to send someone out there.
Giving lots of kisses.
How are you doing, Marjorie?
Oh, a little better.
Good.
I have to, still not completely, comfortable, but, and I'm elevating, so I'm not in my usual office. So I am fair game for the animals.
Ah,
Hey, Ms. Renta, I'm trying to see, it seems to me that we have a quorum for the Finance Committee.
Looks like you have a quorum for all of them. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Then I'm going to go ahead and make a few brief comments and then just hand over the Zoom to Ms. Dolan, I believe is first. And Ms. Dolan, Ms. Renta and I are here for assistance if anything should happen Zoom-wise and in terms of just running the meeting. Just have a couple notes in terms of procedures and scheduling. So this evening, the hope was to roll out Civics Clerk here in March, but after our training session last Monday, and I have to say, I think council members are doing very well adapting and adopting the new technology. But there were some issues clearly that we need to iron out, both with the Civics Clerk end of things and our procedures. So we're going to slow down and make sure that everything, I think that the council is prepared to utilize the software if there are no glitches. However, I don't think we are prepared if something comes up. We simply don't have the expertise to be able to fix that as of yet. So we're going to slow that down. And Ms. Smith and Mr. Donnelly and I have been identifying issues, and now we are trying to implement a plan of how to address all those issues, and that'll take a little bit of time for us to figure out. But in terms of one thing we are implementing tonight, public input, when we do adopt Civics Clerk completely, the public will have a much easier time demonstrating their desire to give public input on an item on the actual agenda for the particular committee. So tonight, our chairs will actually be doing public input. Our previous practice was public input all at the start of the meeting. And there are pluses and minuses to that. Some of the minuses is, if you are in a committee that meets later in the evening, your public input was quite a long time away. So we're going to go with when a chair opens up their committee after taking attendance in the roll, then we'll have public input. And again, Ms. Renta and I will serve as assistants in timing. Everyone has 3 minutes for public input and identifying people who wish to give public input and moving them into the meeting. So that should not be a burden on the chairs as much as it might be. For public input, I would like to remind attendees of the meeting, if you do wish input, just raise your hand. But you do have to have your full name identified on your Zoom name identification here. So if you wish public input when the time is appropriate, please just raise your hand. And of course, you may get public input on each committee if you so choose. In terms of our budget schedule, we will be at this time, we will move forward using our previous procedures, not civics clerk, with our budget. If it seems like we can implement civics clerk during the budget process, we will do so. But until we have that completely solidified, I think it's more prudent for us just to slowly input civics clerk on the meeting side, and we'll handle the budget separately. Speaking of which, please be reminded that the mayor will make his address to the council and to the town. What do you say? Was it 6 o'clock, Mr. Jackson, on Wednesday? 6 o'clock on St. Patrick's. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. And Mr. Jackson also will be emailing all of us the budget at the conclusion of the mayor's remarks. And then we'll get physical copies of the budget delivered to our door, Mr. Jackson?
Yes, unless someone wants to make alternate arrangements.
Thank you. So on Thursday, we can pick up physical copies of the budget. We will be completing the budget deliberation schedule. We begin traditionally, as we have with with department head testimonies, with questions both delivered to the department heads ahead of time and asked on the floor, and then public hearings, and then we'll open up our public, our deliberations. That schedule will be out tomorrow. Miss Renta, there's a draft completed, and Miss Renta, as she does, has located a few issues with it that need to be ironed out. So we will do that tomorrow, and we'll get that out. So without further ado, then I will hand.
Point of clarification.
Oh yes, Mr. Farmer.
The mayor just sent out an email saying that their town hall would be at reduced staff. So if we're coming to pick it up, like, what does that look like? Because this is the first time I'm hearing that we're going to pick it up. And last time we had people drop off the budget to us. So
I believe the pickup is an alternative. Mr. Jackson, you want to handle that?
Yeah, so we are prepared to drop off if other folks want to pick it up at town hall. Please feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, and I will make sure that the doors are open to you.
thank you. I must have misunderstood because I was like, hold up, we're gonna go and pick it up, or so I appreciate that clarification.
Thank you. And Ms. Dolan? It is, you are now co-host. The floor is yours.
Thank you. All right. So I will open up the finance meeting at 7:11 p.m. So Mr. Alston is not here, absent. Councilwoman Shoemaker, present. Councilwoman Caesar, Councilman Caesar, hello, Austin. Councilwoman Weber.
Present.
Oh,
Present.
hello. Councilwoman Rowe Lewis. Hello. And Councilwoman Wetmore. I think I saw her too. Okay. Great. All righty. So we'll open up for public comment. Does anyone from the public have any comments on the agenda items this evening? No. I can't see if anybody in the public wants to speak.
None at this time, Ms.
There are
Dolan.
no hands up.
Thank you. Okay, would anyone like to speak on an agenda item tonight? Okay, and for the third time, would anyone like to speak on an agenda item this evening? All right, I'm going to close the public comment session and we'll review the agenda. The first agenda item tonight is a refund of property taxes collected prior to July 1st, 2020, totaling $260.56. Can I have a motion to pass this?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Give it to
All
Ben.
right. So we'll give it to Ms. Wetmore and seconded by Ms. Schumi. Would anyone like to discuss this item? All righty. Seeing that there's no discussion, we can take a vote. All those in favor of approving the refund of property taxes collected prior to July 1st, 2020, totaling $260.56, please say aye.
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 Already looks like, I can't see Mr. Caesar. I'm going to assume, it looks like he got knocked off. I'm going to assume we're,
Yes, I'm on, yes, yes.
He's there.
okay. Oh, sorry, I think it was Craig Caesar who's coming on. Okay, our second agenda item tonight is a refund of property taxes collected between July 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021.
So move.
Second.
I'm sorry, who moved it, Caesar?
Yes, it was me.
Thank you, Mr. Caesar. Okay, any discussion on this? Doesn't look like it. We'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the refund of property taxes totaling $22,224.98?
Aye.
In favor.
Aye.
All righty, like we're unanimous. Thank you. Wow, it's going fast. Our final agenda item, a refund of motor vehicle taxes collected between July 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021. This is overpayments on the grand list totaling $11,080.15. May I have a motion?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this?
I have a question, please.
Yes?
I'm not familiar with us getting items related to overpayments on motor vehicle taxes, more familiar with the overpayments on property taxes. Is there some kind of an appeal process on motor vehicle taxes, or how does this come about? I'm just not used to seeing it.
What we saw here was an unusual case where people made 3 payments.
Oh,
So they paid in full, but then they paid the second half again.
oh. So they misunderstood the paperwork, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
We have that cut off at 250. And so they get one bill, but then they expect to have a second bill, and they may pay the first one off entirely and then pay it again.
I see. Okay. I was curious because I'm not used to seeing that. Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion on this? All right, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the refund of motor vehicle taxes, overpayments on the grand list totaling $11,080.15. All right.
Thumbs up.
All right, looks like it's unanimous. All right, so I'm ready to close the finance meeting at 7:17 p.m.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dolan. And just for so for everyone, we're all on the same page. Items that are passed unanimously in committee will go onto the consent calendar, or I'm sorry, the consent agenda for our regular legislative council meeting, which is scheduled for the 29th. Anyone can pull an item off the consent agenda simply by requesting that either an email or in the meeting itself. Items that do not pass unanimously will go on the regular agenda of our legislative council meeting on the 29th. just for clarification. And Mr. Weber, you're next.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? All right, we'll open the Public Safety Committee meeting at 7:18. We'll call the roll. Mr. Caesar. Is present. Ms. Bonadies. I saw her present. Ms. Dolan, present.
Present.
Yep. Ms. Rowe Lewis. And she's present as well. Ms. Whitmore. Ms. Whitmore.
Present.
All righty. All right. We'll move right into our first agenda item.
Public input, Mr. Weber.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Do we have any public input on any of the agenda items? Do we have any public input on any of the agenda items? For the third time, do we have any input on the public agenda items? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move forward to first agenda item. First agenda item, order authorizing interdepartmental transfer 2021 fiscal year budget, $150,000, police department overtime, internal transfer.
Second.
Second, all right, Austin. All right. Do we have any discussion? Or, Chief, would you like to speak to this transfer?
Thank you, Councilman Weber. Yeah, this transfer is to just make sure we get through the end of the fiscal year. We've done, I think, a pretty good job of trying to keep our overtime down. I've sent correspondence, I think, monthly, the savings that we've had year over year. However, we did have collective bargaining agreement minimum manning requirements that we had to pay, and we still have to pay throughout the year. Our staffing levels were below what was required, which caused quite a bit of overtime. That was due to quite a few injured officers, which as of today, we only have 2 officers out injured, one slated to come back in a couple weeks, and one who has a complete disability, he's already off the books, but he'll be retiring soon. We had a couple bad weather events that everyone was aware of, a tornado and a tropical storm. We had quite a few protests in the summertime that we had to have manned. We had an uptick in serious crimes. We had numerous serious motor vehicle accidents, and we had quite a few retirements to begin the summer, which caused quite a few of those openings. So that's why we're in the situation we're in.
Any questions? Discussion? All right. Questions or discussion? All right. We'll take a vote. Ordering, authorizing.
Mr. Weber, Ms. Bonadies has her hand up.
Oh, I can't. Ms. Bonadies?
Thank you. Good evening. This transfer is coming from regular salaries. Is that correct?
Yes. All right.
And, so 150,000 extra, pardon the dog. 50,000 extra in regular salaries is a lot of money. What do you attribute the additional regular salaries as a result of?
That mainly was from the retirements that occurred in June. Some of those positions were not filled, so those salaries. We have an officer that, two officers that were off permanent injury, which we used to pay them, but we worked out something with the new labor attorney and we took them off our books, and they were just being paid by workman's compensation. We had the deputy chief position has been unfilled for the entire year. An IPT position was unfilled. We had one officer on administrative leave, which was not being paid. Our Hamden Youth Center really wasn't working because of COVID. And we had one crossing guard position that was unfilled, which is filled now.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that delineation. So there was quite a bit of regular salary savings due to all that, positions not being filled and other items that you mentioned. So thank you. That was great. Appreciate the information.
Thank you.
Ms. Rowe Lewis.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, Chief. Thank you for doing such a great job in finding the money within your budget. I was looking for it to be a lot more than this, simply because of the uptick in crime. So I was looking to see a higher number there. So thank you for whatever it is that you're doing. I appreciate the hard work to keep it where it is. I really was looking for a huge number tonight. So thank you.
A lot of that is attributed to the command staff, the relationship that the administration's had with the union, who they've been working with us on all of this, and the officers that I have in specialized units. I'm able to manipulate their schedules. So in prior years where we've had events and services that we provided that we would pay overtime, I'm using these officers on regular time.
Thank you. I'm good, Mr. Weber, Chair.
Thank you. Any other discussion, questions? Any other questions? All right. I'd like to take a vote. Authorize interdepartmental transfer 2020-2021 fiscal year budget of $150,000 for overtime internal transfer. Aye.
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 Okay. Is that everyone? Okay. All right.
And ask if anyone is opposed or anyone is abstained.
Yes. Anyone opposed? Abstentions? All right, passes. All right. Second agenda item, authorize the interdepartmental transfer 2020-2021 fiscal year budget $14,377 for the police department vehicle replacement internal transfer.
So
Can I have a
moved.
motion, please, Austin?
Second.
All right. Chief, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Councilman Weber. Obviously, the fleet is in dire need of new vehicles. I've sent several correspondence through the year. Most of our vehicles are over 100,000 miles. So we wanted to take advantage of the money that we had to pay the first 3 months. This would be a 5-year commitment, just so everyone knows. It's a lease. It will be 5 Ford Explorer Interceptor packages. One would be a hybrid of the 5. This would just be a start in the, I guess, the beginning to replacing our very depleted fleet. We have all the specs for the vehicles. The hybrid is a little more expensive than the other 4 regular police interceptors, but we believe we'll make that money up because our cars do go idle quite a bit. And during that idle time where we'll be spending money on gas in the regular cars, My understanding is in the hybrid car, almost no gas is being used. So I believe they'll pay for themselves over the life of that car.
Mr. Caesar?
Thank you. I'll be supporting this tonight. Absolutely, 100%. Anything to support the safety of our officers who are trying to do their job every day in these cars. It's pretty pitiful that the town allowed these cars to get as deteriorated as they are. I wish there was more of a better plan in place for that, so we don't have these types of situations happen. I don't know who's watching the ball there in terms of these things in the past. I'm happy that Chief Sullivan's brought this forward, and I'm just glad that we're bringing this forward now, and he's making it happen. So I'll be supporting it tonight. Thank you.
Councilwoman Dolan?
Thank you. I will also be supporting this tonight, but I'd like to talk about going a step farther. It's my understanding that there's quite a few cars that need to be replaced, and perhaps Chief Sullivan can tell us how many cars are approaching or have exceeded their useful life, and then perhaps Mr. Jackson can help us somehow to get the administration involved with the capital budgeting plan and to see if this can get on it as a priority. It's great that Chief Sullivan has found some extra money, but that means that we have to make sure we have that money in the operating budget again next year and for the 5 years, I think it was. Whereas if it was part of the capital budget, or I'd like to see the next phase be part of the capital budget so that we can get these 5 going right away, but make plans to start replacing the fleet timely. So maybe Chief Sullivan can tell us about how many cars each year would be ideal to replace, and then perhaps Mr. Jackson can weigh in a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Dolan. Well, one of the reasons why we're trying to move quickly is MHQ actually has the cars on the lot right now. So if we move forward today, we can get these cars right away. That's part of it. We have an 82 car fleet. If you can believe that, that's not all cars. That's including our motorcycles, our prisoner van, and other types of vehicles that we have, not just our patrol vehicles. It's our admin vehicles, our detective vehicles. So it's a large fleet. We're not looking for anything else except for patrol cars because that's where we need them the most. If we I'll let you know, come July 1, we'll be asking for more cars. And if we get this allotment, we think we can move very quickly in starting to replace the fleet. And then a few years from now, we would continue with the lease program, and we'd only have to get a few cars at that point, not as many as we are looking for in the next year. Once we get into the cycle, we'd only need a couple cars every couple of years, and then we could maintain at that point.
Okay, great. I hope that.
As it pertains to capitalizing police cars are a little bit tricky, and best practices have kind of gone back and forth because of the issue that Chief Sullivan mentioned, which is the engine hours on a police car could be double that of a standard passenger vehicle because the cars are used to power the mobile data terminals and other equipment as well. And so because the minimum term on a capitalized item is 5 years, it kind of starts to get a little bit potentially close to the line. So I will. I have to talk to our bond counsel in the next couple of days. So I will bring up the question and ask him to tell me what the state of the art is currently on police cars.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was unaware of that. So that's great to know as we go into budget season, because if we're not going to put them on the capital plan, which is fine, we just want to make sure we account for that in the budget so that we can.
Right. On one side.
You don't want to have to replace 10 in 1 year. You want to do 2 every year. So yeah, let's get these 5 going, and then let's plan accordingly. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councilman McDowell?
Thank you. Appreciate being recognized since I'm not on the committee. I was going to ask the chief, is it possible over the next, a reasonable amount of time, if you don't mind letting us know what that would be, can we get a rundown of all of the vehicles that exist in our fleet, their age, their mileage? I mean, I would imagine that we probably have some sort of existing fleet management or record of our fleet. Does that exist? Would that be easy for you to provide us with?
Absolutely. We have that now. We can print that out. I can have it for you tomorrow, probably.
How, while we're on that subject, how do we manage our fleet? Like, is it like an Excel document, or do we have a system where we manage our fleet and keep an eye on these things?
Our traffic division handles the maintenance of our vehicles. So they have they send them up periodically up to the garage for oil changes, and they're the ones who keep the mileage of all the vehicles, and they keep all that data. So we do it in-house.
Okay. I look forward to receiving that. Thank you for that.
Council President McGarry, sorry.
Pretty close, Mr. Weber. I just wanted to, as Mr. Jackson mentioned, figuring out how this works out in the capital budget. And I do think this is perhaps a conversation that could be had with the Fiscal Stability Committee as well. Once we learn about, what's appropriate to be putting in the capital, just what is, what's the best practice? If I really applaud Chief Sullivan for finding this, unique solution to getting, much needed equipment for his department. And if it turns out that this is, a smart, prudent, fiscally responsible way to go about acquiring vehicles that are needed for our town's departments to function, that maybe this is something we could implement in other departments. Obviously fire engines and plow trucks and other items won't fall into this category, but we do have the engineering department, the building department, and other departments need vehicle transportation as well. So I'm really hopeful that this turns out to be a long-term practice that we can implement and save some money and do well. So interested to see how those works out. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, we do think it's fiscally sound, Councilman McGarry. And one of the reasons is we're spending a lot of money on maintenance of these cars, and I believe most of the maintenance is covered over the 5 years of these cars as well. So that will save us money there. Part of the reason why we're trying to move as quickly as we can, we're happy to be lucky that they have these cars on the lot. That it's not always the case. So if we had waited for a capital budget, and then at that point in time, we might be off on the cycle that Ford has the cars for us, and they might have to wait till the following year to get the next year's model. And if we had a fleet that was managed properly, I think we would be okay doing that. But the situation that we're in now, we just figured that if we can make this grab now while they're there, it would give us a little bit of a head start going into the budget season. And if we can get the other group of cars, then at that point, we feel like we can get our fleet in a manageable position in the future.
That's a great plan, Chief. Thank you.
Councilwoman Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Weber, for allowing me to speak, though I'm not on your committee. Chief, thank you so much for adding a hybrid vehicle to the vehicles that you're planning to lease. I want to let you and the council members know that through our electric vehicle toolkit participation, we'll be making available to your department and to all of our fleet managers a tool for looking at each vehicle in the fleet that has come from the National Renewable Energy Lab. It's fairly easy to do. I believe Mitchell Strickland from the Traffic Authority is willing to work with you on this. And the idea is that over time, in order to implement substantial air quality improvements in the state of Connecticut and substantial carbon dioxide reductions to address climate damage, we want to be transitioning all of our fleets away from a strictly internal combustion engine process. And those technologies are becoming better and better all the time. So thank you for starting that process. And I look forward to working with your fleet manager and with Mr. Strickland from the Traffic Authority so that we can create a comprehensive plan for working forward over the years toward transitioning our fleet. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Shoemaker. Yeah, when we look to get the second allotment, when we go into the budget season, we will definitely look at it to be getting at least one more hybrid when we do that. We want to see how they perform. We're going to monitor their performance. And I, from what I'm hearing from other chiefs, they sound like they've been working. I know some other chiefs that I've spoken to, and they're going to be doing the same thing that we are. They're going to be getting a couple for their fleets as well, and doing the same as we are, monitoring the performance of them as we go along.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Councilman Farmer, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. I guess, well, thank you for acknowledging me. I'm not on this committee, although I'm not sure if my questions are necessarily to you. I had a couple of pointed clarifications. So through you to the council president, do we have a parliamentarian on for tonight?
Ms. Gruen is on vacation, but she is available via phone if we have an issue that arises.
Well, I had several questions that I think that would be more pertinent to her. So I'll just share them and flag them, and maybe I don't think necessarily we need to get her on the phone tonight, but definitely should be addressed. In terms of this, if someone's not on the committee, but as a point of clarification or a point of order, who does that go to? Would that be the chairperson of that committee, or would that be you?
The chair of the committee.
Okay. If you could get, through you, Council President, if you could get clarification from our parliamentarian on that, just to make sure. The other question that I had was that in terms of these items tonight, all of them will be coming to us at a later council meeting, correct?
That's correct.
So no expenditures could happen before they're voted out at the other meeting, correct?
I would think so. Mr. Jackson, you want to handle that one?
That is correct. There would need to be full council action in order to effectuate the transfers necessary for both the overtime transfer and the automotive transfer.
Okay, thank you. So thank you all for answering my questions. And thank you, Chairman Weber, for acknowledging me.
No problem. Okay, any other discussions, comments, questions? Any other comments, questions? All right. We'll move to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, opposed? One opposed, and abstentions. All right,
Marjorie, are you opposed?
No, I said aye.
oh, you said aye. Okay, so
Correct.
you approve. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
aye is
Aye,
approved.
got you. I got you. All right,
Thank you for that clarification, Ms. Rolowitz.
thank you. All right, the ayes have it. We'll move on to the third agenda item, the order to approve a master equipment lease purchase agreement for Ford Motor Credit Company LLC for 5 new vehicles for the police department. A motion, please, to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, second. I'm sorry, I didn't
Second.
catch who. Okay, I didn't catch who moved the motion.
Miss
Betty
Wetmore.
did. I
Okay,
did.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Chief, would you like to discuss?
Yeah, so I believe you received the estimates. One is for one hybrid at 53,247.81, and then 4 Ford Police Interceptors at 49,929.61. With financing, comes out to 56,1896 per year. And that would be the lease. If anyone has any questions on the lease, I'll try to answer. If not, I think Sue Gruen will be able to answer. But it's a completely outfitted car, as you can see in the specs. Includes just about everything in there.
Questions, any additional discussion? All right, no questions, additional discussion. I see no hands. We'll take a vote. Aye. Approve. All right, opposed? Abstentions? All right, approved. All right, 4th agenda item, order to approve memorandum of understanding between the town of Hamden and the police union for Officer Gabrielle Garcia. Chief, would you like to speak to that for me? I'm sorry,
Yeah, well,
motion? I'm sorry. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
And second, please.
And Bonadies.
All right. Okay, Chief, would you like to speak to that?
So Officer Gabriel Garcia has been called active military duty with the Connecticut Air National Guard. It should last from March 19th of this year through January 17th of 2022. The military pay is substantially less than his base pay. Over the years, we've always made up the difference for the officers in these situations.
All right, do we have any questions, discussion? Any questions or discussion? All right, we'll take a vote. To order to approve a memorandum of understanding between the town of Hamden and the police union for Officer Garcia. All in favor? All right, all opposed? One opposed. Any abstentions? All right, pass. All right, the last agenda item, order to approve memorandum of understanding between Town of Hamden and Police Union for Officer Enrique Rivera Rodriguez. Chief, would you like to speak to?
Motions.
I'm sorry. I can have a motion.
So moved.
Motion.
Wetmore.
All right. All right. Second.
Bonadies.
All right. All right, Chief.
Police Officer Enrique Rivera Rodriguez is an active member of the Connecticut Army National Guard. He had an annual training from February 20th, 21 to March 6th of 2021. Now he's been called to active duty service for the purpose of Operation Enduring Freedom, which is which began March 7th and will end April of 2022. Again, his military pay is substantially less than his pay here, and this would make up the difference as well, just like in the case of Officer Garcia.
We have any questions or additional discussion? I see no hands. Any questions, additional discussion? I see no hands. All right, we'll take the vote. Order to approve the memorandum of understanding between the town of Hamden and the police union for Officer Enrique Rivera Rodriguez. Vote, all in favor? Aye. 4. Opposed? 1 opposed. Abstentions? It passes. All right, we'll adjourn the Public Safety Committee meeting at 7:49. Thank you.
Point of process.
Yes, Mr. Caesar?
Mr. Caesar.
Actually, this isn't for the committee, it's for Mr. McGarry, actually for the full council. It seems like we ran some very good committee meetings tonight without having to do civic clerk or any other fashion. I'm just curious to know why this wasn't done several months ago, when we could have public input given this way during committees and also public council meetings. Why is it now all of a sudden we're going in this fashion? I'm just curious to know why this wasn't brought up earlier.
Okay. Yeah, that's sort of a lengthier discussion that, you know, we could have had not in front of folks, but if that's what you want. We had real concerns about security for a long time. If you recall, there was a meeting in which horrendous language was used. And, you know, that was a real concern. I would try to move towards something different than that. Then we tried to start thinking about implementing civic clerk, which I think will help a lot with our data management and meeting management. As you clearly see tonight, we had some questions about who voted yes, who voted no. By implementing civic clerk, that'll be off the table. Also, civic clerk will allow people easier and better access to our agendas. I don't know about you, but it's difficult to be looking, you know, double screening. I'm not going to print out all of these things, so having civic clerk with the ability to make notes on it will, I certainly think, improve our ability to interact with our agenda items. And frankly, just civic clerk and moving into the future seems to be the way to go. I'm also, you know, I see all these other hands up, and, you know, this is not my meeting. The next meeting is with Ms. Baez's meeting. So if people have questions, please email, but, you know, this is not a Q&A session for the council president. This is for our committees. So, so long answer short, if you want to speak offline about that, Mr. Caesar, be happy to, but so there are reasons for safety, there are reasons for you know, considerations of implementing a new project. You know, there's
Have those safety concerns been alleviated now? Are they gone? Are those same safety concerns no longer an issue?
Well, there were some changes made to the way we set up our meetings. Yeah, there was a lot of help from folks in the public and our tech commission about making sure that we run the meetings and make sure that our safety settings are different. Zoom changed some of its internal stuff. So I'm still concerned that Zoom bombing could occur. It has in other meeting formats recently in other places. So yeah, that's still a concern, but I think we have a process down now that we can hopefully catch any of those and, you know, deal with them.
I'll just say with the fact that I just think it's very unfortunate because we shut off a lot of public debate over the last couple of months. And if we could have done this all along this way, I really think it's really think it's unfair.
Well, Mr. Caesar noted, and our next committee meeting is Ms. Baez's, and I'm not going to indulge this, Mr. Caesar. This is not where we're having. If you want to have this discussion, give me a call. Same, unless we have some sort of point of process or something, it's Ms. Baez's meeting now, but we should note Ms. Klaus is here. Hello, Ms. Klaus.
I'm sorry, Councilman. I'm not sure that I called Dr. Horsley in my roll call. So I just want to make sure we mark her president on the record.
Thank you. Ms. Renta, you grab that one?
I got it.
Thanks. I believe Mr. Alston is here as well. Hello, Mr. Alston.
Point of clarification, I didn't vote or anything because I wasn't called in the committee. So I'm not sure how we should work that out. Maybe you should say I was absent.
I'll check in with Ms. Gruen on that, yeah.
Okay, good.
But yeah, probably just non-voting is probably the way to go. Mr. McDowell, Ms. Klaus, Mr. Farmer, are these questions about, what do we got going on here? Ms. Klaus?
I have a comment, actually, that is unrelated to any of this. I would like to that the Hamden boys swim team, for the first time in Hamden High history, has gone undefeated dual meet season. So I just wanted to put that out. Great to announce.
You.
Klaus, that's nice to get some good news.
Yep, absolutely.
It's all about the coaching, I think.
Yeah, that one diving event. That's all about that.
Mr. McDowell?
I was going to follow up on the previous conversation. I agree with everything that was said, so I won't rehash that. But I also want to make clear that civics clerk and the systems that it provides, the data, document, meeting management that it provides, is probably something that our administrators should have had years ago. So I don't want to take away from the importance of having civics clerk, but it does appear this evening that we've proven that this is something that we could have been doing all along. So,
well, the committee on wouldas and shouldas is not meeting tonight. So unless we have something on the agenda, it's time to move on. Mr. Farmer?
Thank you. This goes back to my earlier question about how workflow works. In between these meetings, do we I'm not necessarily sure if this is a point of clarification, by the way. In between these meetings, I'm not necessarily sure if you're facilitating or supposed to be facilitating. So this is not to be facetious or to be catty, but this is a real question that I have, which is kind of why I asked before. So I guess my question is, as we go forward, can we do a process before or after these meetings? So that way, if people if council people or council persons have questions or comments, that we can get it on the record and that we can be able to discuss those things so that it's not disrupting business. Because sometimes I'm known to be a disruptor, but at the same time, I do understand your concern about workflow. Maybe this is not a conversation that we dive into now, but I'm hoping that these meetings can go swimmingly. So that was just my point of clarification. I guess my final succinct question is, after these committee meetings, will we be concluding with you, Council President, or does that just end with the last committee? But how does that, again, this is not to be facetious or catty or anything. This is a genuine question because I'm not sure. And I think it might be better if we clarify that now so that we don't create precedent and then argue about it later. Or not argue is a strong word, discuss.
Well, for a couple, yeah. So as we go through, as we did sort of in the past, I've made note of some of the items that people questioned about. I'll be emailing Ms. Gruen for clarification on your question, Mr. McDowell. I'm sure Chief Sullivan is, going to follow up with Ms. McDowell's information request. But as we have in the past, I'll just sort of check on those things, make sure that those things are occurring. And Ms. Renta and I have been communicating about what items are going on the regular agenda versus what are going on the consent agenda. And we've been compiling that. And in between, if there's any information requests, we could do those as we have in the past. Just if you have a question, please send it to Ms. Renta. Ms. Renta will send it to the appropriate department head, and then we'll give the information to the entire council. If anyone has real specific need to speak to a department head, of course, especially chairs should check in if there's any questions that they think need to be clarified with their department heads. They should do so in the intervening time between the committee and the full legislative council meeting. And so that's kind of the process. That's the idea here, is to sort of slow things down so that people have time to deliberate and think about what's going on. And at the end, when Ms. Baez concludes her meeting, that'll be the conclusion of the meetings for tonight. And I plan on doing a wave like this, and that should be about it. Then our next meeting will be next Monday. I forget, I don't have off the top of my head which committees are meeting on the 22nd. And then we'll have the full council on the 29th. Ms. Rent, do you have which are meeting on next Monday?
So far, we have something for economic and development, environment and conservation, and I believe we now have an education to be scheduled.
Yeah, so those three will be meeting pending any, pending any extraordinary circumstance. Those three committees will be meeting next Monday. And that's all. Ms. Baez, it is your meeting.
Hello, hello. I'm Councilwoman Baez, and I know we just had a spicy conversation, but now I am opening up the Human Services Committee at 8 p.m. Today on our committee, we have present myself, the chair, Jody Klaus, vice chair, Athena Gary, Justin Farmer, Brad McDowell, Majority Leader Burrito Roll Lewis, and Minority Leader Betty Wetmore, all present. I'd like to start the committee by opening up public input. If there's anyone from the public who would like to give some input on today's agenda items, please let us know. I'm checking out the attendees. I guess they would raise their hand. Again, public input for any of the agenda items we have tonight. Any public input for any agenda items we have for tonight? Okay, seeing no hands in my public attendees, I am going to proceed with the agenda items. Okay, so the first thing that we have on our agenda tonight is item 1, appointment of Melissa Canham Klein to the Transit District of Greater New Haven for a term to expire March 31st, 2023. Do I have someone to move this?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Councilman Farmer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Majority Leader Burrito Roll Lewis. Okay, do I see any conversation, discussion about these? Yes, Councilman Farmer.
Seeing that I was not on, seeing that I wasn't on the other committees, just to take the time and the spirit of Councilman Annis to thank all people for serving and giving their time is deeply appreciated. I also want to add my excitement that these roles for the Greater New Haven Transit Committee are being filled. It has been some time as an avid transportational guru. I am deeply appreciative that Hamden's interests will be represented well. So thank you to everyone who is going to be appointed tonight, and I am very happy that this work is being done. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Is there any more discussion on this item? No? Okay, I would like to call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, seeing none, it passes unanimously. All right, item number 2, reappointment of Daniel Kops Jr. to Transit District of Greater New Haven for a term to expire March 31st of 2023. Do I have anyone to move it?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, McDowell seconds. All right, we have any discussion on these items? Yes, Councilman Farmer.
This is weird. No second bites. No, listen. I just want to thank Mr. Kops for his continued commitment to community. And even though he has left us in one way, he is still participating and being actively a part of our community. So I commend him and thank you for his many years of service.
Is there any more discussion? All right, then I would like to say myself that to second what Councilman Farmer has said, looking at the board for the Greater New Haven Transit, or rather Transit District of Greater New Haven, I see that there are some vacancies in other towns, and I'm proud of Hamden for making sure that we have representation. And I want to say we support and appreciate these people representing our town on that board, and we want to make sure that they have the right idea when they go in there, that they're going to represent all Hamden residents and make sure that we have transportation and transit available for all our residents, especially those most in need to get to where they need to get to. So I really appreciate the representation that we're sending in there this year and on to 2023. So again, thank you for your service, y'all. With that being said, I'll take the vote for this item. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, item number 3, reappointment of Robin LaFrance to Hamden Housing Authority for a term to expire on December 31st, 2025. Do I have a motion, someone to move it?
So moved.
Second.
Wetmore and then Farmer. All right, then, any discussion on the item? No, I think it's gone without saying. Thank you very much, Ms. LaFrance, who has been a resident of the Housing Authority for more than 2 decades. So I appreciate your work here and this reappointment. With that being said, I'd like to take the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? No, passes unanimously. Okay, with that being done, that's our last item on the agenda. I will be closing my committee at a swift 8:06, and you guys can have a great evening. Thank you all so very much.
Safe travels and happy Women's Month.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Ms. Bias. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
We'll see you next Monday.